Hello guys, welcome to La Putra YouTube channel and our today's topic is Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Let me tell you what are we going to cover in this act. We will see the objective of this act, arrangement of sections, key definitions and key provisions. What is the objective of this act? Basically, the act prohibits giving of dowry and also taking or demanding dowry. Now, let us see the arrangement of sections in this act. This act is very small, it does not contain any chapter or parts. There are only 10 sections in this act. Now, let us see the definitions in this act. There is only one definition and it is of dowry. Coming to the definition, there are four elements in dowry. First is dowry should be in the form of property or valuable security. Here, property means both movable and immovable, like cars, flats, etc. And valuable security means in the form of money. The next element of dowry is this property or valuable security should be given or promised to be given. The third element of dowry is naturally the parties. It includes both the parties, one party from the bride side and another is of the groom side. Either the bride gives to the groom or her parents do this, it's considered as dowry. The fourth element of dowry is a time of giving. It might be given before the marriage, after the marriage, or even during the marriage. It is considered as dowry only if it is given in consideration of marriage. If it is not given in consideration of marriage, it is not considered as dowry. However, there is one exclusion to this act. This definition is not applicable to whom Muslim personal law is applicable. Now we will go to the key provisions in this act. You all know that first two sections of every act is just preliminary. So let us look at section 3 to 10 in this act. We will pick one by one and discuss it. Section 3 is very much important. It includes the penalty for giving or taking dowry. So how much will be the penalty? Yes, minimum 15,000 or the amount of dowry itself is the penalty. And it also includes a punishment of minimum 5 years. In case of dowry death, the punishment is even more severe. I think you are aware of Vismaya's death in Kerala. There is one exception to this punishment. If any gift is given to the bride or groom as per the financial status of the parents, it is not considered as dowry. Section 4 talks about penalty for demanding of dowry. In section 3, it was just about giving or taking dowry, but the section 4 is one step forward and it talks about the punishment where a person forces the other party or demands for dowry. Punishment is minimum 6 months term and also a penalty of rupees 10,000. Section 4A has put a ban on advertising. You're all aware that in matrimonial ads which say bride wanted or groom wanted, there should be no express or implied word indicating giving of dowry or demanding for dowry. Section 5 of the Act says that if two parties have put an agreement of either giving or taking of dowry, then that agreement is considered to be null and void. Section 6 says that even if there is any gift given as a part of dowry, it is for the benefit of the wife and her heirs and has to be returned to her. Because generally, what happens? Lots of gifts are given from the bride side to the groom side and it is used by the in laws. But the section clearly states that the ultimate owner of the gift is the lady itself, and in case the woman dies, it has to be handed down to her children. Section 7 is about the cognizance of the offense. Court can take action upon its own knowledge or a police report of the facts which constitute such offense or a complaint by the victim or a parent or even a relative of such person by any recognized welfare or institution. Section 8 says that dowry is a cognizable offense. What is a cognizable offense? It means that it can be brought to the knowledge of the nearest police station and an FIR can be launched. For your information, FIR cannot be launched for non cognizable offences. But dowry is a cognizable offence, it is also a non bailable offence and a non compoundable offence. So, what is a non compoundable offence? It means that it cannot be solved by a compromise. Section 8A was added to this later on. It says that the burden of proof lies with the defendant. For example, a daughter in law is just making a complaint that her mother in law has taken dowry from her, then it is the responsibility of the mother in law to prove that she has not taken dowry. But the daughter in law need not prove herself. So, this is a very critical provision and it may be misused. Section 9 of the Act says that central government has the power to make rules and implement this Act. Section 10 of the Act says that state government also has the power to make rules and implement this Act.